Hey, Chad.
Howdy.
Oh.
I'm on my phone. I don't have the video on because I'm on my phone right now, but I'll be on my computer in a few minutes.
Okay.
Is it just me and you?
So far, I think maybe we should discontinue until our big one in September. What do you think?
I don't know. Last week we had 9 or 10 people show up. Some people, you always get people showing up a few minutes late. I think one of the things is people may be expecting your email, which didn't happen.
I just sent one last minute just now.
Not everybody checks Facebook. I actually forgot it was Wednesday, even though I remembered this morning. I was sitting there a minute ago saying, and then all of a sudden I saw the Facebook thing. It's like, oh, today's Wednesday. They all seem, every day seems the same, you know?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, even Sunday kind of feels like that sometimes, even though we do a longer come follow me and we do the sacrament and stuff, it's still, you know, some days, sometimes it feels like it doesn't feel like the Sabbath, you know what I mean? And that's our fault.
I know what you mean, though. Definitely feels different.
If you do think that maybe we should discontinue, maybe we should just go like once a month or something like that.
Yeah, we could do it monthly instead.
So I suspect after people get your emails, they'll go, oh, and we'll get a few more people showing up.
Yeah, usually I'll send it. I tried a number of different things, but sometimes we catch people if we send it right at the moment, because they just happen to be available, and others are like, no, I needed more time to prepare. So
people should just put it on their calendar.
That's an idea. It's on my calendar.
So what you ought to do is now I don't know how well this would work, but suppose there's some way of creating
like an automated email distribution.
Well, no, there's some way of creating calendar events, like through Outlook or something like that. If you use that, I don't use Outlook.
Yeah.
But that have all the information in it for the call and stuff. We get them from work.
Right. That's a good idea. I could do that as well.
And send it to everybody, so that they can just hit accept and it goes into their calendar.
Right.
And then
hey,
add
Todd.
it to the Facebook.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Yeah, it is afternoon.
Did you go out for a run?
Me?
Yeah.
I did earlier today. I just haven't gotten fully dressed for. I'm fully dressed because I'm in the office right now. So.
How is work going, Todd?
It's going well. Intermountain's continuing to keep us busy. We're just training a lot of the providers via WebExes.
You still doing iCentra?
Yeah, and it's still a need. I'm sure that's not something new to you, but yeah, doctors still have lots of questions, and we still do our best to help them and their clinicians to make sure they understand how to use it most efficiently.
So do
My
you know
wife-
Eric? Do you know
When my
Eric
wife,
Young?
oh, sorry, Chad.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Todd, do you know Eric Young?
I do not know Eric Young. What part of Intermountain does Eric work in?
Well, he was doing iCentric training at one point as well. That's why I asked.
Eric Young, huh?
I don't know who he was training, whether he was training doctors and clinicians or hospital staff or what part he was doing. He was my neighbor until he moved over to this next and in my ward, and he was like one of our counselors, and I was executive secretary, so I talked to him all the time. Until I moved about half a mile.
Yeah, I knew a lot of the trainers, because we did. I mean, that was for 3 years. That was all we did was 100% training. But Eric's not a name. At least not Eric Young. I knew Chris Young.
No.
But Chris was a she, so I'm assuming Eric is a he. So I'm guessing that this is not the same person. So.
No.
Well, my wife is a nurse, and she was a physician coach for iCentra, and Todd knows this, but she was always quite shocked at these brilliant physicians who couldn't figure out how to use the information system.
Yeah. Well, and I've talked to a lot of people, and I guess there's some. They specialize in a lot of the surgeons are probably the best in their surgery fields, but I guess that's why I have a job, is because they may be specialized in the surgical area, but not in the computer area. So, I got a lot of folks that will just call and say, I can't remember how to do this, and how do I discharge a patient in the system? And I guess that it helps me to know that's my specialty.
It's good job security.
Exactly. So in some ways, I don't mind that these doctors keep their focus on their primary, surgery areas, and I'm happy to help them.
The doctor that my wife uses, and I use them too when I need a doctor. Since being a man, I don't go to the doctor, but
No.
He actually just gave up his hospital privileges because of iCentra. He just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, I think I think there's definitely a generational thing too. Many of the older providers are much more or much less willing to learn what they have to. I don't know if this provider of your wife's is an older gentleman or not, but we did see a lot of the older generation doctors decide to leave and just say it's time for me to retire. I don't want to jump into a new thing.
Yeah, this guy's he's older. I mean, he's not the OBGYN that she was visiting, but he was like just the normal general family type dude.
Right.
And he just decided it was just easier to take care of his patients at his office, and if they need to go to the hospital, then hand them off to somebody else.
Right.
I have to say, my wife's a nurse at the ICU, the cardiac ICU at the Intermountain, the medical center.
Oh.
And none of their people like iCentra. None of the nurses do.
It's interesting. We had a whole group of people during this whole COVID thing go to New York, and they came back and they could not speak enough. They said, we are so sorry. We have been bad-mouthing iCentra so long because iCentra is so much better than what they were using out there in New York. So I think it's a perspective issue.
Yeah.
I think anything technology related, if it doesn't work exactly how everybody thinks, it's a frustration.
Yeah. For her, it's like nothing ever. It's slow, and you have to do 5 things that should take one thing and stuff. I mean, that's just what she tells me. I haven't used it myself. So right. I work for Vocera, and
okay. And generally they like Vocera.
Well, I was wishing IHC would adopt a lot more, because we have a lot more than just the badges that they use. I work on the in the mobile group that writes the apps for the phones to interface with the new system, so that you can send and receive calls from your phone as well as texts and everything to the new smart badges and stuff. And it's like, IHC needs to adopt all this stuff because it makes everybody's life a lot easier.
Yeah, well, IHC needs to adopt a ton of things. That's part of the problem is how do they prioritize everything? Because they're doing so much right now. I mean, the virtual visits is a huge priority because of this COVID stuff right now. And so a lot of other things took a back seat as far as creating mobile apps and the ability to, for physicians to see their patients virtually sort of took priority over everything.
We were
the
told
last 4
that
months.
401k matching contributions were going to take a back seat too.
Yeah, that's started July 1. No matching contributions for at least the next 6 months. So that's all right. I figure if they're keeping my job and they're keeping us happy and just taking away that 4% match for a short time, I'm all right with that.
Well,
Aaron's not.
She's gonna be what we can retire on. Oh, it kind of angers me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a small sacrifice. I mean, they haven't fired anybody that I'm aware of.
Kent, where are you sitting?
I'm sitting outside in my yard.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a nice day here.
My unachievable bucket list includes playing golf on several courses in Long Island that I'll never be able to do because they're so private. But
There's a lot of private things here.
unless you've got some connections, Kent.
No, you got to have money to have connections. I'm a poor college professor. Yeah, no, New York's got great things, none of which I can afford. So, yeah, no, it's just a nice day outside. It's about 80 degrees and, yeah, better than sitting inside.
How are you? How is your university going to be impacted by the Monday announcement about? Are you going to be online in the fall exclusively, or are you going to have a hybrid offering?
No, what they're telling us right now, who knows what'll happen? That's a few months away, and we could all be back in lockdown by then. But what they're telling us now is that everything's going to be in person. I think what the announcement that foreign students can't stay in the country if they're online, I think that just is the president's way of providing huge incentive for people to do things in person, regardless of the risk. Because, the universities are hurting as it is. They're not going to want to lose that tuition because foreign students usually pay full tuition, whereas American students don't. They have their price and then they find ways to substantially reduce it. And
do you have a large foreign student contingent?
Yeah, we've got quite a few Chinese and various others. I think every university does, or most every.
Don't many of them get scholarships that come overseas?
From their governments, usually.
Okay, so the governments pay full price, but the students themselves. So that's actually a win-win for the students get a great deal, and the university gets a full tuition price.
Yep.
That
that's
would make a big difference.
You don't want to lose those students.
Yeah.
Yeah, BYU Hawaii had announced that they're going exclusively online, and of course they have a large number of international students, and so those students are in a tough position, especially those that really have a hard time returning to their native countries.
Yep, or getting into this country, because I guess I suppose the rationale that's officially given is that, well, if you're online, you might as well take the classes in your home country. You can still attend the university here, but do it from your own country. But of course, that kind of negates the reason for coming to the US to begin with. And so why would you bother doing that? Why don't you just go to an in-country university and then maybe later transfer the credits? Especially, it's once they, if they have to go back, it's not always, depending on where they're from, real easy to get back here.
Right.
And it's,
I think that's one of the main concerns is,
yeah,
if I leave and go home, how am I going to get back?
yeah. We've had, especially, if they're from countries that have been kind of selected out. We had several years ago an Iranian student who he went home, and then the president put on the ban from them to get, come back. It was just horrible trying to get him back in the country. He was a student, so, I see this as just yet another political move. I'm sorry, there may be exceptions here, but I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump. I just see Donald Trump as he's for Donald Trump. And if you want any proof, the fact that he had an indoor rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and had people sign waivers. I mean, he could have held it outdoors. Anyway, I got to take this. I'll be right back.
Okay. Aaron, how has your business been impacted by COVID? Or you're online mostly anyway, right?
I have, and I've been busier than ever, actually.
Yeah.
I just recently signed a couple of contracts with local governments to help with the COVID-19 messaging, and all my clients have been busy. So I'm busy, and I'm also teaching online, or teaching. I wasn't online until the middle of last semester, but I'm not teaching till the winter semester. So I am not sure what that will be like. So I hope it's in person.
What's your business?
Ask me again, sorry.
Chad asked what university or where are you teaching, and I wondered what the business was that you were doing from your home, it sounds like.
Yeah. So I am a business owner. I run a small translation agency, and then I teach translation at BYU. So Provo.
Cool.
So yeah, I've been busy.
And
So
is it
where
translation
you
software?
No, translation. So language services. So translation, interpretation. So any documentation. Anybody have a Little Giant Ladder by chance?
Okay, Little Giant Ladder.
If you have one and you see French or Spanish on the side of in the labeling, that's me.
Gotcha.
So you ought to go to like Japan and China and stuff and help them translate to English.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. It's typical of anybody who, I get the question all the time. Oh, you live in Utah. You must have a big pool of people who can do translation. And truth is, my database of 600 plus linguists has maybe 10 return missionaries in it. And the reason is, number one, missionaries, especially now because they're younger, they don't know how to write well in their native language. So, and a lot of them don't want to do it. It's hard work. And so you get these small companies who have no experience with translation. And, John over there has served a mission to Munich, Germany, and he speaks German, so he can do the translation. And that's what happens in China as well. They think, some person who has had a year of English can do the translation.
Well, I think in those places they just run it through a machine and then slap it in the manual or on the label or on the sign.
Yeah.
My wife's in Japan. We go over to Japan all the time. Well, not all the time, every other year basically. And I laugh at some of the signs I see.
Yeah.
I could, even though I don't speak Japanese, I could take their machine translation and convert it to English. And I'm sure that I would be correct because I know I understand what they're trying to say, but they're not saying it very well.
Yeah. There's a funny video that I share with my students that goes from from English to German to French to Japanese and then back to English or something like that through on Google Translate, and it's just hilarious what comes out the other end. So
anytime you get an Asian language on Google Translate, it comes out funny. Even though the languages are not that, Chinese and Japanese are not related very much at all. I mean, they're a little bit, well, Korean and Japanese are a lot more related in terms of the grammar and stuff, but it's just interesting. I think a lot of the European languages come out okay.
Yeah. So in terms of machine translation, there's some good options. Everybody thinks of Google, but there's lots of options, Amazon, Microsoft, and others that have pretty good output. So
I just think that these companies should spend a little bit of money to make sure that what the image they put into the foreign country, in our case, the United States, doesn't make them the butt of jokes.
Yeah. That's part of, I'm teaching you my class, Jack. That's part of educating your client. Most clients don't understand that the impact a mistranslation can have on the reputation of their company. So yeah.
Aaron, are you familiar with Lingotech?
Yeah, very familiar.
Do you use that, or do you use a comparable product?
No, I don't use that. I have used that. They actually contract with me to do some German-English translation as a freelancer. They have a good idea. In fact, I think their concept in terms of a translation management system is good. It just is very expensive to do. I think it is on the road of getting a machine translation system that is that will replace me eventually. So, but I'm not worried about that in my lifetime. Even in 10 years, if I retire, there's not going to be a solution, 100% solution until I'm long retired. So, but this is another thing I tell my students is that I don't know, maybe some of you may be familiar with a professor at BYU by the name of Alan Melby. He was my advisor. He's pretty well known in my industry anyway. And his theory from a church perspective from a gospel perspective, is that the reason machines cannot translate like humans is they don't have agency. And until a machine has agency, that won't happen. But to think that Heavenly Father can receive and answer prayers in hundreds or thousands of languages, whatever it is, there has to be some sort of system for doing that, I think. And I think we'll get there at some point, or we'll understand what that is. But I don't think in my lifetime that we will know there will be a machine that will be able to, with agency, be able to translate like a human does. It's such a complex process that the human brain does. So
doesn't Eric Rinker work in that field,
he
or
does.
didn't he?
Works. He used to be at BYU. He's now at
Facebook, isn't he?
He is it Facebook? I thought it might be Facebook, I thought maybe it was Zillow. I correspond with him
He
a
may
little
have
bit.
moved over to Zillow. I think he went to Washington for Facebook, and then maybe he moved over.
I think he's at Zillow now.
Yeah. So yeah, he does that sort of thing. He can probably tell you a lot more than I can in terms of machine translation. But yeah, I've been busy, really busy. In fact, I probably have a few things that I need to attend to right now.
Which unit does your wife work in with IHC?
She works at American Fork Hospital. That's where her office is, but she is I don't know what it's called, a coder. So she takes encounters that the doctors and the nurses have entered into iCentra, and she fixes all the mistakes that they make, basically. and she's been with IHC for 14 years. So we try to max out the matching that we get through IHC, and it's amazing how much she always complains that she doesn't make any money, but number one, she lets me do what my dog's going to bark here in just a second. There's Scully, or there's she complains that she didn't make any money, but because her paychecks are good. Like I said, I guess he's not coming in. But and she doesn't make, she makes, you know, $15 an hour, which isn't very much, but $15 an hour over 20 years, maxing out as much as you can put into the 501 or whatever, 401, 403C or whatever it is a lot of money. So anyway.
Speaking of machine translation, one I remember once I think I wanted to check something and I put some Danish text into, I'm from Denmark, put some Danish text into Google Translate and wanted to translate it to German. And it was very obvious from the translation that it was doing the translation via English.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess from Danish to English and then from English to German. So yeah, it came out as not what it should have been.
And that's
it's getting better, and you'd be surprised. Really, the push in today's world is to do what's called machine translation with post editing. So that percentage of the total translation work in the world is growing and growing every day, and that is simply just doing a machine translation and then having a human do the post edit. And then you have certain engines that are what they call neural machine translation, which learn over time. So I use a neural machine translation engine every day in my work. So as a freelance translator, if you're not using machine translation, then you're missing out. So you have a software, piece of software, and you have the source text and the target text. And if you have not translated in the past, then you should be pulling that from some engine or multiple engines, and that increases the rate of translation exponentially. So yeah, you'd be surprised at what you might see. You get errors like anything, but you'd be surprised to know what things are machine translated when you thought they were done by a human, maybe. So there's a lot of it being used, and it'll only increase. So where does everybody live? So Kent, you're in New York? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I'm in Long Island.
Long Island?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. You guys I've had a crazy go in that over the last 6 months, and during COVID.
It's been pretty easy on us. I've just taught, like you, online at home, and we've just stayed at home and hung out, and it hasn't been a great adjustment for us because we can't afford to go out to the restaurants anyway, so we're not missing out on that. And
yeah,
afford to go to movies, so we're not missing out on that. And everything's so crazy expensive here that it's we live in a nice area. We're out on the East End, and about a 4-minute walk from my house is a small private lake that we have a membership to, because everything here is private, of course. But that means it's probably the only lake on the island that has good fishing. And so I take my kids fishing there about once a week, and I'm teaching them swim lessons in the lake now. And so it's, it's all good.
That's awesome. We love to visit the area. We were back east right when this started to happen, and nothing was shut down or anything. So we got to do everything we wanted to, but I think it's a little different now. You know, I just have to say, I look at all of us and we all look great, but holy cow, does time fly? We are getting freaking old.
Farmer looks especially old, doesn't he?
Hey now, hey now. Hey, I am the elder statesman of the
That's
the
true.
late
That's
group,
true.
so, oh.
How does that mask fit you, Farm?
Well, actually, and I just, the reason I'm wearing it, I despise these masks, but we just had a family reunion up in McCall, and my niece plays for Utah State, girls basketball, women's basketball, I guess. And she just got back, and the teams periodically tested, and so she tested positive. So,
Oh man.
and before she'd always tested, she was always negative. Today, the whole team tested. She's the only one tested positive. So I was teasing her, and she said, hello, I think I got it from you guys. So
I just don't know how they're Andrew, you know, as some of you may know, he plays football down there, and he's been tested
Down where, Rich?
BYU.
Oh, BYU. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we all understood it was at BYU.
But I don't know how they do it. I mean, it's like he's been tested like twice already, just because like 12 of them were around a girl that had it. They all were negative. But then last week, a few of them got sick. So it's not public knowledge, but you know, Zach Wilson is positive, and Andrew's roommate Gunnar Romney is really, really sick and lost his sense of smell and all this stuff. Anyway, they've all been tested again and all quarantined, and I mean, it's like one guy goes down, and it's
tight quarters.
Wow, I just don't know how's she gonna. I mean, so she has to just be quarantined, right?
I'm guessing. I haven't really heard. But yeah, so now, although of course we're doing a new phone install today, brand new phone system. So I'm supposed to go home, but I really can't go home. But anyway, so I'll have to be at home I've been working mostly from home anyway. 1 day a week I've been going in. So yeah, so, and I'm not sure what'll happen with her, but yeah, tight quarters, obviously, with the team. But, you know, I even think their season's a big question mark. They don't even really know, what's going to happen.
I just don't see how it's going to work. I mean, even when they were negative the first time, like 12 of them couldn't go in and work out. And even though they were negative, they quarantined them for 5 days. They said, well, just because the tests, we want you to stay away for 5 days. It's like, wow,
that'll teach them to be around a girl.
Exactly. Let alone 12 of them around one girl.
Yes.
So do razors just not work up there during this COVID time? Is that what I'm hearing?
That is so awesome, Rick.
Yeah.
I really like that. I mean,
It's sharp.
I heard he was taking part in a Brigham Young reenactment.
Yeah, well, no, don't bring up Brigham Young right now. That's not a good name to be bringing up.
Oh.
Did you shave? Hang on. Did you shave some of it?
No, I just keep, my wife, we have a family reunion on my side end of the month, so I'll keep it till then, and then I have strict instructions to rein it in a little bit. It's kind of a little wild. So after
I thought it was longer a little bit last time, man.
The mask has been pushing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I think it's about the same.
That's good. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, once in a blue moon. What the
You got
heck,
more
right?
on your face than your head.
Indeed. Yeah. As Aaron said, we're all getting old.
So not to go back to this translation thing, but I wanted to share my screen for a second. If that's okay.
Yeah.
Because this is a picture I took in Japan. It just has a funny sign. Hold on a second. It's right, that one right there. So do you see a sign?
No, hang on.
Yes.
That says at the bottom, "Do not beat."
Why
Is
can't
that
I
for
see it?
Americans?
Oh, there
What's
we
that?
go.
Is that for Americans? A sign for Americans?
Yeah, we need it right now, don't we, Bjorn?
Do not beat. I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. So this isn't standing in line to go see the pandas, and that means do not rap on the glass.
Oh God.
But to me, it looks like we're not supposed to be beating the pandas.
Well, that
Yeah,
too.
But it's just this is an example where they could have grabbed any Caucasian dude on the street and said, "How do we say this better?"
Yeah.
Do you know that small print at the bottom says translation by Aaron Alder?
Yeah, it was for sure. For sure.
That was about 9 years ago that we saw that at the Kobe Zoo, but I still remember that as one of these examples of signs that just cracked me up.
Aaron, how'd you get started in that field?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I came home. I wanted to be a doctor like my dad. Took 2 chemistry classes at Utah State and decided I wouldn't be a doctor. And German was the easy route. I was one of those missionaries. I wasn't companions with any of you, so I was one of those missionaries I was saying, I wanted to be fluent by the time, I wanted to be native by the time I was done. And so I studied German, and then eventually became a project manager for a translation agency in Portland, Oregon. And my colleague was doing translation on the side, and I wasn't. And I thought I could make a little extra money on the side. And then within 6 months to a year, I was making more money doing that than working for somebody else. And so that's how I got started. And then after that, shortly after that, I realized that it's hard work, and I should be managing others doing the hard work. And that's when I started my business.
What's it called?
What's my business called?
Mm-hmm.
It's the Same Day Translations. So I get all the questions. Oh, you really can do it in the same day? So it just depends. It depends on what you have, of course, but there is possibly a rebrand in the future. So, but I'll keep that name. The name comes up really high, of course, organically.
Are you going to next day?
Yeah, I changed it to next day. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I wonder if somebody owns that domain.
Buy you a little more time.
What languages? A bunch of languages?
Yeah. So we are handling about 45 languages, not all at once. We're typically somewhere less than 10 on any given day. So a lot of Spanish, a lot of French, a lot of European, Portuguese, German, Italian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, that sort of stuff.
Are you in Portland right now? Sorry, I'm jumping in here late, but
No, I'm in Pleasant Grove, Utah. If any of you've seen the huge flag flying in the canyon, that canyon, I am the second house from that flag in Pleasant Grove, Utah.
okay.
So it's kind of a madhouse for the last 5 years during the 4th of July, because they fly the huge flag across the canyon. And yeah, so I'm in Utah. I moved back to Utah. So I'm the youngest of 7 children. I was working in Portland so 9/11 was in 2001. On July 4th of 2002, my oldest brother was in a small plane crash and passed away. And I saw it on the news when I was walking out the door to go to a party. And so I made some call. I saw, a small plane out of San Diego, California. And so I started making calls, got no answers. And then a couple hours later, my brother called me and said, "Hey, yeah, that was Mike." And I kind of stepped back. And I don't know if your parents your dads were like my dad. My dad always seemed to be either at work or at church. And I was doing that at that time when my eldest brother passed away. I was working for Intel at the time in Hillsboro, just outside of Portland. And I was working crazy hours, and my brother passed away. And I kind of stepped back, and my kids were, my eldest was probably, let's see, my eldest was 10 or 12 years old, 10 years old maybe. And I didn't want to do that. And so with him passing away, it kind of changed my perspective a little bit. And said, you know, working for a great company, great benefits was not worth not seeing my kids grow up. And so the way Intel works, if anybody's worked for a big company like Intel, they kind of grow and shrink and grow and shrink. And they were about to shrink when that happened, and they paid me a chunk of money to leave. And so we came back closer to family. My wife's family's from here, and I don't regret it. I work harder now for myself than I ever did for anybody else, of course, but I also have the flexibility to, and have had, my kids are all adults now. I became a grandpa. Yeah, my eldest son is 29. And I was like, okay, Zach, it's about time. I'm not going to be able to enjoy my grandkids. So I became a grandpa last September, and I was able to attend all their sporting events, all their activities, everything that my dad never did. And that was, you know, I don't blame my dad. That was his generation, and he did the best he could. And I'm not saying that I do it any better. I just had made the decision that I wanted to be involved in my kids' life. And that's what we've been able to do. So yeah, I live in Pleasant Grove, Utah, just north of Provo.
You're just giving us all a real quick.
Yeah. I don't mean to do that, but you know that
Awesome.
I tell the story more for therapy for myself. I played, for example, 8 years of Little League baseball, and my dad came to maybe 5 games, and when he came, I thought, oh no, what have I done? I'm in trouble. You know, I've done something wrong, and I didn't want that for my kids. That's, you know, as simple as that. And so, and I make, you know, honestly, in terms of income, I haven't sacrificed anything working for Intel or working for myself as opposed for Intel or any other company. So, yeah, that was.
What is it about plane crashes on the 4th? It's like I was driving up to a cabin, and well, at least the 4th weekend, and just drove up on that crash in American Fork Canyon that killed.
Oh yeah, just the other day. Yeah.
It was my daughter's BYU Hawaii soccer coach, and then a partner, we share a home down in St. George, a partner, his sister was killed in that. And so it's like
terrible. Yeah.
And my daughter's best friend was the wife of Alex that was killed in it.
Oh man.
So
they'd only been married like 3 months or something.
Yeah, Alex was Amanda's soccer coach. So say that again.
Oh, interesting. So Caitlin and Jocelyn down in Utah, they went on semester abroad to the Goethe Institute with Kendra, who's the wife of Alex.
Yeah, I heard they just got married.
Yeah, they just got married. Yeah, crazy.
Wow. Yeah, gosh, I don't know what it is about the 4th, but people get in their airplanes. But well, that's a neat story, Alder.
Oh, I don't know. And I apologize for monopolizing a little bit here.
It's okay. So, you're the new one, so you can drink all the time you want.
Yeah.
All these other.
Yeah, I'm younger than most of you, actually. Eric was one of my teachers at the MTC. So.
Das Gemüse.
So my companion. Oh my gosh! Now I'm really getting old. Elder Denny, Shane Denny. I'm sure Eric remembers him. He was.
Well, I was also Shane's bishop in Saratoga Springs.
Oh, were you? Okay, all right. We were total opposites, but
yes, just let me confirm that.
Yeah.
Aaron, keep the rules, figure out how to speak German as perfectly as he can. Shane's on the other end of that.
I got a story. One time we were together. We ended up being companions, and I think we were zone leaders in Munich. We had this guy. We were doing a Straßenausstellung, and a guy came up to us and started to talk. And Shane turned to me and goes, "Check out this guy's toupee," in English, of course. Well, toupee is the same word in German. And so the guy got all upset. Whoops. And then there was another one. Well, it seemed like it was that same Austin that had a drunk guy come up to us, and he ended up wanting to fight us. And I'm 6'4" if I stretch. But on my mission, I was probably 150 pounds, if that. But I'm feisty. I've been feisty all my life. I said to him, "Hey, how old are you?" And he goes, "I'm 20, whatever." And I said, "Okay, act like it," to him. You know, he fisted up, and I said to him, "Hey, dude, I'm not going to fight you, but if you swing, I'm going to swing." And he backed down. That was with Shane Denny, my MTC companion. Good times.
Speaking of,
I also, and I don't know if anybody has any contact with him. I think of Florian Lechner a lot, actually. Yeah, do you remember him, Eric? Do you remember Elder Lechner?
Yes.
He and I were zone leaders also in Munich, and he was
He's
a great
Austrian,
man.
right?
Austria, yeah.
He's the one that got in trouble with President Burton for going to Frankfurt when he didn't go to Frankfurt for the temple.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Hof is the branch president, and they were going to the temple dedication, and his twin brother was in the Frankfurt mission.
Oh, right, that's right.
He called up President Burton and said, "Hey, can I take my Gemeinde go with my Gemeinde?" He said, "You can't leave the mission." And then President Burton went to the thing and saw his brother and thought it was him and came back and called him and said, "I thought I told you."
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that story. That's a great story. Yeah. Yeah.
Shane Denny's wife, Linda, I think, served in the Vienna, Austria mission.
Oh, did she?
And her mother is, I think, Austrian or German.
I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, probably at least. So.
Shane became quite an excellent salesman. I think he sells mortgages now, but he sold cars, diamonds.
He sold me a Subaru. He can sell ice to an ice cream to an Eskimo, as they say. Yeah, But speaking of his language and being opposites too, he was from Indiana, and he had a little bit of a drawl. And every time we would walk out of our dorm at the MTC, he would look at the mountains and just go, "Oh my gosh, look at those mountains," because it's flat there, I guess. I've never been to Indiana, I don't think. Anyway, he had no fear of talking to anybody, and he didn't care what his language sounded like. And so he would just talk, and he would speak German with a drawl. And at the time, it was kind of like, you know what you sound like, but now I think back on it, it's kind of endearing and brave and converted in a way, having no fear. So I love Shane Denny. Another my dreaming trainer was Merlin Hafen. I don't know if any of you know him. He and I were also total opposites. I'm a little bit of a sports nut, and 5 foot nothing and plays the piano. And not against playing the piano. I would love to be able to play the piano. I don't play the piano though. That sort of thing, just to describe him. He's probably the companion that I'm closest to. He lives in Mesquite, Nevada.
Yeah.
And we
for a few things that we've had.
Yeah, he's just a good guy. So
I remember he sat down and started playing Sticks Come Sail Away for me.
yeah,
When we were in the same district.
yeah.
Just offhand, he just sat down and started doing it. It's like,
Yeah, he was like that. Yeah, he's a good guy. But his kids are young. I don't know how young any of your kids are, but he's got like early teens or earlier than that, something like that.
mine are
I'm done. My youngest is 20. What year are we? 2024. But I'm not an empty nester. They all seem to leave and then come back. At least all of ours have. So.
Speaking of being a grandpa, how are the Grabecks? Grandson
Granddaughter.
or
She's good.
granddaughter?
Yep, she's good. It was my first, for anybody who doesn't know. And
Congratulations.
thank you. What was it, 11, 12 weeks ago now? And yeah, she's now becoming interesting. That's probably a bad thing to say, but I mean,
Yeah, she's human. For the first few months, they're just a blob.
yeah, eat, sleep, poop.
Yeah.
Now at least she reacts to, you smile at her or do something, and you can tell that she's looking at things, and yeah.
So tell us more about your BMW GT and why in your neighborhood in London everybody has a German car on the street.
I don't know why, but it happens to be the case in this particular street that when I look around, everyone has at least one German car.
But yours is by far the coolest, right?
No, there is a guy sort of across the street who's got 4 cars, and one of them is a Bentley.
it's funny though, because I know a guy in London area that I worked, he was involved with a startup here in Salt Lake through the founder who was originally from the UK, and he lives in London, and he drives a Mercedes SUV type thing as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, this other guy, he's got a Bentley, he's got a Porsche, he's got a BMW. I have no idea what he does, whether he's a car dealer maybe or something like that, but yeah, he's not quite representative of the neighborhood, but yes, everybody has at least one German car. And I guess interestingly enough, for those of you that may have followed, so I'm not British, I'm an immigrant, but I live in the UK. But for those who may have followed a little bit what's been going on in the UK, you may have heard about this thing called Brexit. And the UK is apparently the biggest market for German cars, outside of Germany itself, of course. And there were a lot of the politicians that were arguing for Brexit that were basically, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. They were saying the German car manufacturers will force the German politicians to give us a good free trade deal because otherwise they won't be able to trade with us. Hasn't happened, by the way.
well, you're still early in it. They're still playing chicken with each other. It'll take a few years for everybody to actually show all their hands and actually come to a handshake. That's just how politics and
yeah, well, we are now in what they call so the UK has now officially left the EU. They're now in a transition phase, which, unless something happens, ends on the 31st of December. And if nothing happens, that means that the UK is now on what they call WTO, World Trade Organization rules, which means they actually must put tariffs on, well, basically pretty much everything.
Uh-oh, Garnet's showing up.
Rich, how's your daughter doing? Who's been sick?
Who did you ask?
You.
Rich.
Oh, she's good. She's doing pretty well. It's a mental, it's more of a mental torture right now, just trying to keep her sane and busy, but not unsafe, I guess, is the, she's doing all right. Some things worked, some things didn't work with the transplant, but she feels better, I think, physically, but she still has to take immune suppressing drugs. So it's just not, it's not a fun time with, you know, a surge in this pandemic and stuff. And
Has she been able to leave the house at all?
yeah, she does. I mean, she'll do little things, or, you know, go to,
How long do they think that she has to stay on that?
I don't know. It kind of depends. She's got a little bit of graft host syndrome, where, you know, certain things start to reject, like her skin. She's got a little bit of skin, you know, inflammation and stuff on certain parts of her skin, so that, you know, she has to, so that means she just has to be on it longer. They can fix it, and it just takes time. So it's just a lot of uncertainty as to how long, or you just have to kind of plug through.
Rich, I got to go here in a few minutes, but I'm sorry, I haven't been around. I don't know what happened.
She has what's called, or had, aplastic anemia, severe aplastic anemia. So it's very, very similar to leukemia. So your bone marrow just stops making white cells, red cells, and platelets. We don't know why it's idiopathic.
Mm-hmm.
So she had they kind of wait around to have your numbers go really, really low, and then the risk reward is a bone marrow transplant. So she had that done about 7 months ago, and her sister donated, and so, I mean, she was a perfect match and everything. Some things worked and some didn't. Her, you know, when you have a bone marrow transplant, your T cells are supposed to become the donors, and her T cells are still hers, but a lot of other things are her sister's. So it worked. Her numbers are getting better. So anyway, you probably get that just with your background, how that works.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. I mean, it's a life-threatening thing if you don't fix it, and it's a lot of work, chemo and all that stuff, to be able to have the bone marrow transplant. You know, you have to basically kill your immune system to accept a new one, and then kind of rebuild it. So it's rebuilding, and it's doing okay. She's good. Just trying to, I think it's funny. We always tell people, yeah, we're just trying to keep Amanda safe. You know, if she's got her mask on, but it's really, she's got to count on others to kind of do that. You know, it's not so much her wearing one as opposed to having other people wear it so they don't move it around.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It's good to see you, Hatch.
Good seeing you too.
Looks beautiful right there.
Oh, it's very nice. It's very nice. Yeah.
Brian Tobler's 2 kids are on Long Island selling pest control.
There we go.
Hello?
You should find out who they're working for. It might be someone from a branch I was in a few years ago. I don't know. There's a member here that runs a company like that. So anyway, I got to go. Nice seeing you.
See ya.
Yeah.
Hey,
What?
speaking of missionary MTC companions, President Christopher Brown and his wife just got home from being the president out there. Has anybody had opportunity to interact with them yet, or have they would they potentially be jumping on one of these calls to give us all a report of their 3 years of service?
They were on once.
Oh, were they already?
I thought they were, Eric, weren't they? Or was that the outgoing?
That's the new ones. That was the
Anyone?
notches. Anyway, I just didn't know if anybody had any communications with the Browns since they've been home yet.
Is Eric on?
I think he's dropped off.
Oh, okay.
Eric seems to know. I think.
Yeah, Eric seems to be in the know, and I didn't know if maybe the Browns and maybe the Lakes had talked or something like that, just since they've been home about president to president kind of stuff. But anyway,
Yeah, it'd be fun to hear from them.
yeah, I've just been thinking about them because in reality, had we all been able to go to Oberammergau and go to the Passion Play this year, they would have still been there. And I think there was plans, at least I had spoke or communicated with them about getting together with them with the, as many as could get together with them while they were still president.
Yeah, we should see if Eric wants to invite him on a call.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Bjorn, you and Eric kind of make these happen, don't you?
Yeah, mostly Eric. 99% Eric.
Well, it's kind of posted or something, as I understand. I always get it from you, the link, but I think it's posted on the mission
Facebook, yes.
So Brown could jump on there.
Eric has also been sending emails out to people to make them aware of.
Do you have?
Yeah, I think it'd have to be Brown's wife, because I don't think President Brown was too big of a Facebooker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should find all we need
Eric
to do is find his,
probably has the contact details as well. So
yeah, find his email.
yeah, that would be fun.
Do we know if the Notches were able to get over there to Munich?
They're not. Americans are not allowed into the EU. And I'm not joking.
So I guess that means that there's just a standing president there, one of the local leaders.
There was actually some. It's actually, I don't know if you're on Facebook. It was Craig Smith who actually posted information about some caretaker presidents, both for the Frankfurt and for the Munich mission. Well, Alpine mission. So the one looking after the Alpine mission is a German couple, former mission president of Frankfurt mission and currently state president in Nuremberg. So he must be pretty busy.
Yeah. What was his name, Bjorn? You remember?
Lehigh Schwartz.
Schwartz. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm sure he is busy. Wow. I wonder how much.
I mean, I think he's a retired person, but still, being both mission president and state president, plus whatever else is going on in people's lives.
Yeah.
It must be, yeah.
So I had heard that the mission presidents who couldn't go to their missions are still acting remotely, obviously with the local guy who's been called to caretake it, through him or something like that. Does anybody know if that's happening with Scott?
Well, that's true. I mean, it was President Lake who last time mentioned that. I think it was President Lake who mentioned that there were some of the. Wasn't President Lake? It doesn't matter. There was somebody who said that they knew of mission presidents being called mission presidents being told to be in contact with their mission via, I guess, Zoom. So possibly not that different from if they were in contact with the missionaries via Zoom in country, but still must be a bit of a challenge if they're not in country. You know, they can't really easily deal with emergencies or whatever.
Yeah, that's got to be.
If they can do that, though, that it helps take some of the burden off the local guy.
Yeah.
So so that he could be getting to know the missionaries and, maybe dealing with some of the things you don't need to be there for. Like you said, they'd be mostly communicating by Zoom anyway. A lot of these guys, anyway. I don't know if the missionaries are walking around the streets now again in Germany, but.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, Europe is starting to open up again. Not the UK, but then they never considered themselves part of Europe anyway.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, things could, in reality, right now, things could be run from the church office building, missions or something. Wow. Man, it's really crazy. What's new at in the UK? Anything?
So they've started really opening up again. There's one city, not a huge city, but not a really small one either, where they've had a localized outbreak again, and they've sort of locked that city down a bit. But I think it was Saturday. So this Saturday just gone by when they opened up for people being allowed to go to pubs, and going to the pub is a big thing over here.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a little bit waiting and seeing whether that will cause infections to go up or not.
Do people, or what's the mask requirement, or if any, there?
So in the UK, there's if you're on public transport, so bus, train, stuff like that, there is a requirement to wear a mask. But other than that, there's no requirement in the UK. I mean, as some of you know, I actually drove through Europe to Denmark 2.5 weeks ago, and in Germany there was a mask requirement to enter shops. But I mean, yeah, I was only stopping in Germany for a tiny bit of shopping, and then on to Denmark, where there was no mask requirement.
Yeah, I know some of us are in Utah, but I guess the governor's considering now whether to put a full mandate in place. So we'll see.
Salt Lake County did put a mandate in place, and so now every store I've been to has a sign that masks are required, where before it was only Costco and about 2 other stores.
Yeah, that's what
Costco, I assume, must have been something self-imposed.
What?
I assume Costco was self-imposed.
Yeah, that was their corporate policy. Yeah.
No.
And it's like Chad said, it's in Utah County and Summit County and maybe another county. They had a requirement, but they've left, most of the state just open, and they've asked everybody to do it, but now they're considering a statewide one.
Salt Lake County, which is where most of the cases are from a perception, from a case count thing, is actually one of the Indian reservations in the bottom southeastern corner that has a higher percentage of cases from a population percentage standpoint. But Salt Lake County went to a mandatory mask thing for public on June 30th. So just last week.
Yeah, that's, well, we'll see what happens. It's one of those, I don't know what you do. I mean, I don't know what's better, to ask people to do it, and then you kind of get everybody, including the people that are the ones that just won't do it if you require it, or just make it mandatory, and then you kind of take the pressure off the businesses that are trying to do it and get yelled at. But yeah, I was in stores too this last week or weekend, and it seemed like everybody had them on. So.
Richard?
Yeah, back in May there was a high percentage, and then in June it slacked off, and you saw a lot of people without, and now it's gone way back up again.
Yeah. Marco, what did you say?
What are you eating?
Gummy bears.
That's what I thought. How do you get them?
Oh, we have the good echt Haribo brand in any store, really.
Mm-hmm.
The best gummy bears, however, are the Albanese ones, which aren't from Germany, but they're the best of all the gummy bears you can buy. Just FYI.
I really only like the Haribo ones.
You just haven't had the Albanese ones yet.
Where do you get them?
They have them at Walmart. They probably have them at a lot of other stores too.
Huh. I mean, I've tried a bunch, and I'm kind of weird. This will sound funny, but I like to let the gummy bears sit out so they're not soft and they're kind of hard.
We're not sure we want to hear anymore.
Yeah, I know. It
just sounds gross.
No, they're good. They actually have, you know how the texture's so good, but they actually have a little bit more texture to them. They're good that way. They never get hard, but anyway, that's how I like them.
You're after texture, also halloumi cheese.
That thing you're talking about is the hard thing. That's just the Haribo ones anyway, because they sit in a container for 2 months to get over here, and they're usually a little bit chewier and harder just out of the bag compared to what they were in Germany.
Yeah, it's true. But anyway, yeah. You like those, Marco?
Yes, I do. But where's the difference between gummy bear and rubber bear?
I don't know what a rubber bear.
But you said not gummy.
Gummy.
Usually you said rubber, don't you?
No, it said gummy.
Gummy bear.
Okay.
Gummy.
Yeah, I'm not one for wine gums myself. I'm a licorice person.
Well, that's good too. Yeah, and you're from Scandinavia, so that's why.
Yep.
I was in Stockholm 30 years ago, and this girl took me to this licorice store that had like 100 kinds of licorice.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Well, so some of you are still there.
Some of us are still here, yes.
We got involved helping with some pathway business, and the time got away from us. Sorry. Anything new from any of you? Hi, Aaron.
You're muted.
You're muted. Why are you muted, Aaron? Hi, Rich.
I always forget. Hello.
Hello, Aaron.
Hello. I am new to this group, and I appreciate Eric reaching out to me. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
I don't know if
you don't look a day older since the last time I saw you.
Oh, thank you. When did you see me? Yesterday?
That's not what you were telling the rest of us.
No, I'll be quiet.
I don't know if you all know that Aaron's father was the doctor who delivered Teresa.
I was telling them that I was introducing myself a little bit, and I was telling them how I wanted to be a doctor when I got home from my mission.
Uh-huh.
So they knew that they did know that my dad was a doctor. So.
Yeah, he was a doctor in Glendora, California, and,
Yep.
and he delivered Teresa.
So what did you end up doing, Aaron?
Languages. I use my German every day.
Do you?
So, yeah. I run a little translation company. So,
Oh,
yeah.
hello, Chad.
Chad is somewhere fun today. Hi, Marco.
Hallo.
Hello.
En
Sorry.
guten Appetit, Schwester.
Excuse me, I'm eating my lunch.
That's okay.
So am I.
It's a granola bar.
That's why I turned my video off.
Okay.
So I had to get in my
So-
car and go pick up my son. So I'm actually sitting in front of the Kearns Rec Center waiting for him to get out.
Is that where you are?
So President and Sister Lake, have you had any contact by chance with President and Sister Brown since they got home? I just was curious. We'd asked earlier, and
No,
No, we have not. Mm-mm.
okay.
they are home though, huh?
Yeah, they did. From what I heard, they were able to get home, and anyway,
Now they
we'll
have
have to have. We'll have to have Eric invite them to one of these next calls to give us a report.
Yeah.
They
well,
they now have an interim president.
yeah, it's Leahy Schwartz.
And you remember Brother Schwartz from the Nuremberg district, Feucht branch?
I was in Feucht for a couple of months, but the name doesn't ring a bell with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Schwartz is sort of a common name over there in Germany, so it sounds familiar to me, but I'm not sure that I remember him specifically.
Well, his first name is, you wouldn't find too many Germans with that name. It's Leahy.
Leahy. Okay.
Or
So Lehigh.
Yeah, Lehigh.
He was a counselor in the Nuremberg stake presidency. And then he was a mission president in Frankfurt. So now he's the interim president in Munich.
And the stake president in
Yeah,
Nuremberg.
he's the stake president now, isn't he?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Was it from you, President Sister Lake, that we heard that some mission presidents now are actively being mission presidents, but from home or something like that?
Yes.
As in, they are in the
Brazil?
US, but they are interacting with their missionaries virtually.
Yeah, in Brazil, that's what they're doing. Yeah.
They have eight mission presidents from the United States assigned to Brazil who can't get into Brazil. So they're doing it virtually.
And they don't have any local members there helping out, or
I don't know. I can't imagine that they haven't got somebody looking out for things, but I don't know.
That could turn into a zoo, couldn't it?
Yeah.
You have to assume that there's some local representation there, you know, whether it's somebody officially called or a counselor or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody'd have to be there, I'm sure.
The church is more organized than that. I know sometimes we think it's not that organized when we in our own wards and stakes, but
Yeah, we'll have to ask Teresa that question.
Well, our ward met together for the first time, not this past Sunday, but a week ago, and we didn't go. We haven't heard of anybody that's become ill from it. So
Yeah, we're meeting. In our stake, we met. Our bishop accepted the assignment to test it about a month ago. So we met about a month ago, and then we're meeting again this Sunday. And
lots of people from the state will be there to watch how we did it. So.
Is there a limit then on how many can come? Do people get told you can come if you want, or?
I think, I could be wrong, but I think the CDC here says less, well, or maybe it's the church or the state, I don't know, but less than 100, and with physical distancing.
Yeah, it's subject to the local regulations. So in Utah, it's 99.
Okay, yeah.
And so our ward met last month on the third Sunday. We're meeting again the third Sunday this month. And we had 3 meetings, and we had about 40 people at each one approximately. And there's a little bit of overlap with some leadership. So we're going to move to 2 meetings this month. And we normally have 240 on a normal Sunday. So we're getting, approximately half or slightly less than half of the people coming.
But how do they assign, or how do people figure out that they are going to be coming? I mean, if everybody decided, oh, I think I'm going to come today, then that would be too many.
Our ward did it alphabetically.
Okay.
Yeah, so do we.
I guess
Yeah,
a lottery or something like that.
Our clerk divided it up so that we would have an appropriate number of deacons and teachers and priests and stuff like that. And, a certain number of big families and small families. And so ours wasn't alphabetical, but it was kind of to try to divide everybody so that the character would be equal and there would be priestly leadership and young women leadership and stuff in each one. And it worked out pretty well. So we'll see how it works in a week and a half from now when we're on again.
Yeah. So you're all still healthy. And Aaron, where do you live?
We live in Pleasant Grove. Do you know where the flag is? The big 4th of July flag that they fly, follow the flag thing. Anyway, that's a little canyon called Grove Creek Canyon, and we live right at the base of that canyon in Pleasant Grove.
How many children do you have?
I have 3. Became a grandpa finally for the first time. I know Bjorn was saying the same thing. My oldest finally decided to help us out there. My oldest is 29 and had his first child, and then I have a son and a daughter who are all adults. They all have moved out and come back and moved out and come back, and so my daughter and her husband live in our basement. So.
Well, that happens a lot these days, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's for us for sure. So they'll both graduate here next April, I think, and then they'll be off into the world, I think. We're just trying to help them save money.
Yeah.
They may come back. I mean, my wife and I, when we moved to Utah, lived with my parents for about 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd already been out in the, this was in my 30s, so, but we needed a place to stay, and the place we were renting got sold, and they said, well, come stay with us, and we had a new baby, and I mean, it happens. Then we moved out, and so in the building of our house now, I assume that that's going to happen to us, so we're making sure we have enough room to have at least one of our kids back if they have to.
That never happened to us.
No, it didn't.
We never had any of our kids come live with us.
Not yet, but never say never.
How many grandchildren and great-grandchildren do you have, President Sister Lake?
We have 5 children, 20 grandchildren, and 29 great-grandchildren, but 3 more on the way.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Congratulations.
As we get older, so do you. So.
Oh, I know. I was the one earlier before you got on that admitted that we all look old. So, or no, actually, we all look great, but I have to be honest. We all are getting older. Something like that. Anyway, where is the furthest away that any of your children, great-grandchildren, great-grandchildren live?
We have a grandson that lives in Kenya.
In Kenya.
Kenya.
And he's and he's not on a mission?
Nope. He's married and has 2 children.
He works for doTERRA.
Oh, okay. So he's starting his kind of line thing down there. How long has he been in Kenya then?
2, 3 years maybe.
Hey, wow, that's what an adventure.
Yeah.
They kind of like it.
They're not
Nice
they're
home.
not unhappy there.
Nice
Oh,
home.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Their
Yeah, well,
company. Their
I'm
company.
supposed to be. So it took me almost 20 years to get back to Germany after my mission,
Oh,
but I've been probably 10 times since then.
oh, have you?
And I'm supposed to go again in May of next year, so we'll see if that happens.
If they let you in.
Yeah.
Oh, you
So,
should
but I
try
love
going
it over
there
there.
and working.
What's that?
So you should try to get go there and live there for a while.
Oh, I would love to do that.
I did that for a year and a half, but
during conference, we always talk about the need for senior missionaries, and I would love to go on a mission with my wife, be an office couple to Germany. I would love to live there, at least for a little bit. There's no place like.
Do you know that we did that?
You did that
Uh-huh.
after your mission president, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went to Berlin.
We went to Berlin in 2002.
Oh my goodness, how was that? Was it just so much fun?
It was great.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
We loved it.
Yeah,
Had a German mission president, and I was his counselor.
okay. That's great. I would love to experience something like that. Here's a short version. Served 4 years in the Army, and I had some money left for college in 2006 that I had to use up, or they were going to take it. And so I went and got a high school teaching license at Timothy High School. And they have an exchange program with a school in Meissen, which is the sister city of Provo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had the opportunity to go with them 6 or 7 times over there. And so when I'm over there, I'm usually at least a couple of weeks in Meissen, which includes, of course, Leipzig and Dresden and Berlin and other places.
Part of the
But
Berlin.
I'd really like to get down south again to Stuttgart or Munich and
Yeah.
have
Meissen is the home of my great grandfather.
Oh, okay. Did he know
Carl G. Mazer? Ever heard of him?
that? You know what I was just going to say? I was going to say, does he know Carl G. Mazer?
Yeah, he knew him well. Yeah.
I know it is, and I've walked by his home
Yeah.
100 times.
Yeah.
Put the plaque on it.
Yeah, little plaque on it. Yep. Yeah, Meissen is a.
I understood that home was for sale. Did you
really?
know about that?
Yeah.
Someone told me it was for sale, and they wanted the Mazer family to buy it.
Oh,
Didn't happen.
no. Yeah, it's right next to the high school that we're part of called Franciscaneo. It's right. It's within half a block of that school. So everybody knows that relationship.
Carl, did you know that Carl G. Mazer's father was a painter in the porcelain factory in Meissen?
Was he?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
A lot of Mazers worked there. A lot of them.
yeah.
Yeah, I have quite a bit of Meissen porcelain. So I've got.
I'll take care of it. It's very valuable.
It is. I know. The last thing I got for my wife is a little salt and pepper shaker about that big.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to tell you how much that cost. It was way too much.
Yeah.
but
We got a little plate about that size with the Mazer signature on the back of who made it.
Yeah. I was going to say I probably have
That was $100.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not cheap, but that's part of your history. So
It is, yeah. If he hadn't joined the church and come over here, I might be working at this factory.
yeah,
You might not be here.
I'll have
That's
to
more like,
I'll have to tell my friends over there about that. I didn't know that. So that'll be a good story to tell.
As counselor to President Kapishka of the Berlin Mission, I was able to spend some time in the Meissen branch and spoke there several times. It was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to church. Maybe once. I think once I've been to church in Meissen. I did get a chance, 6 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I was over there and I took my daughter with me, Cece, and we spent an extra week down in southern Germany, and we went to Villingen and Schwenningen and went to church at Villingen and Schwenningen. They have a really nice church. I don't remember that being our church. It must be a new church building anyway.
Don't remember.
So yeah, it was fun to go there and show my daughter my stomping grounds. So
that's fun, isn't it?
It is. Part of that, one of the most satisfying parts of that mission, of that trip was we were doing some German homework before we left. She had some homework. It was at the end of the year. And she had a little book that she had to read. And so I was reading it to her. And she stops me and goes, "Man, Dad, your German sucks." And I went, "Wow, see, I've been speaking German for 25 years. That's pretty hard thing to say." And then when we get over there, she's living, so we're on the exchange, and so she's with a family and I'm with a family. Her family invited me over for a dinner with them and other people, and it just turned out that way. I kind of became the comedy, the humor for the evening. I was entertaining everybody, and she was impressed that they could speak to me and I could speak to them, and we understood each other. That was the most satisfying part of it all.
I bet it was, yeah.
So
great.
But
great.
All my kids took German. My oldest and my youngest can do pretty good at understanding. Their speech, of course, is not good, but they all understand pretty good. My oldest son, Zach, served his mission in Latvia. Latvian speaking, or Latvia, however you want to say it. Wes, my middle son, didn't go on a mission. And my daughter, Cece, went to Winnipeg on her mission. So, a couple of return missionaries.
That's great.
So I don't know if President Sister Lake, I don't know if you can tell me this or not, but did Elder Packer or a general authority once said something to the effect that it's our obligation as return missionaries to keep our language up? You know what I'm talking about?
I never heard that.
I haven't heard it officially said, but it's sure a great idea.
Well, it's been kind of
that's the instruction. I have failed miserably.
Well, it's been kind of a mantra of mine, whether it was said or not. And so for me, it's important. I don't know why. It just is. So I love the German language. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the people. It's important to me. But my son, Zach, when he got home from his mission, he quickly said, because I run a language company, and he quickly said, "Dad, I know what you want me to do. You want me to take the company over, and I don't want to do that. And I don't want to I'm not going to be I'm not going to work hard on my language. And I said to him, I said, well, that's okay. But on the inside, I was going, because for whatever reason, it's always been important to me. So he's been home from the mission 8 years or something, and he probably would have a hard time conversing with anybody in Latvian today. So, and that's sad for me.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I'm not judging anybody who doesn't, but for my own child, I wish he would try to keep it up. So.
We have a son who went on a mission to Germany, and he's done pretty well.
He's not my brother, he's my cousin, Jim. I call him my brother because I lived with them when I went on my mission. You probably know that story, if you like. Anyway, he went to Frankfurt on his mission. And we, we see each other often, and we talk in German often. He does pretty well, and when we don't want other people to understand, we talk in German. So it's valuable. I wish it were as valuable as Spanish. Spanish is so practical. I could use Spanish every day with people here in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I get opportunities to use it a lot. So
the one that I know of that's kept up his German really well after mission is Marco.
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. I think he can say just about anything he wants to say in German.
I try to keep my English up.
Marco, where do you live?
Ich lebe in Lübeck.
Lübeck.
Das ist in
Ganz
Deutschland.
Am Norden.
An der Ostsee, genau.
An der Ostsee. Ich bin in Lübeck mehrmals gewesen. So.
Du hast mir nie Bescheid gesagt.
When I don't know what Marco would say, but my friends in Meissen tell me that I have a little bit of Schwäbisch in my accent. And I can't hear it, but they can hear it. So I was in, where was I? I was in Esslingen and Augsburg and somewhere else. But Freiburg, I don't know.
Freiburg.
And that's where, so President Lake, you might remember this. I started in Munich, then I went to Schwabenland, and then at the end of my mission, I came back to Munich. And so when I was learning German, the most was when I was speaking Schwäbisch.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's not a surprise that I have a little Schwäbisch in my German.
Supposedly there was a professor at BYU who you could talk to him for 5 minutes and he could tell you within about 10 or 20 miles everywhere you'd been.
Yeah, Kelling probably. Hans Kelling. Yeah.
It could have been Kelling. I don't remember.
Yeah. I believe it. Yeah. So.
But who cares? The important thing is that you can speak German and everybody can understand you.
Yeah.
If you were speaking Schwäbisch, they probably wouldn't understand you.
Well, it's Schwäbish when it's like somebody from Indiana or from Mississippi. They have an accent. They all understand each other. On the other hand, so Alder is Swiss and from a little town called Uamesh in the Nähe von St. Gallen. And when they speak German, or when they speak their dialect, I should say, I have no idea what they're saying.
Schwäbisch, I can't understand that. Schweizerdeutsch.
I
can't understand that.
No.
So what's interesting is both Swiss German and Schwäbisch are from the Alemannisch branch.
Yeah.
German, so they're actually quite related. And I was living in Germany from 91 to 93, and I went to a single adult conference in Stuttgart. And all these people from Switzerland came up, young people from Switzerland came up to it. And they were trying to speak High German, but they were falling back into their thing. But it sounded a lot like the Schwäbisch people.
Oh, really? Well, it is a little, it certainly is singy. it's a little singy, you know.
Yeah.
And but they have to really try for me to understand it's Switzerland. So
My brother was in Switzerland as a missionary, and he tried really hard. And he actually met somebody on the airplane that was our neighbor in Massachusetts, who was from Switzerland, on the same airplane coming back. And she said that he did a really good job, but he told me that he would run into people from a different part of Switzerland, and everybody thought he was from Switzerland, but just from a different part, because he got.
Oh, really?
Bad.
Yeah.
They knew he wasn't from their part, but they couldn't place where he was from. But that happened no matter where he was in
Oh,
Switzerland.
that's awesome. Yeah.
I'll have to tell you a story about what happens with English sometimes, depending on where you're living. Our daughter Susie, who some of you remember,
Yeah.
lived in Memphis, Tennessee for a number of years. When they first moved there, she went to McDonald's to get something for the family to eat. They were moving in. And you know, when you tell the person, she was in the car, and when you tell the person at the window what you want, they repeat it back to you. But she couldn't understand anything that the woman was saying. And finally, she just said, "You just send us what you want, we'll eat it." And that was her first introduction to Southern English. And she had some funny experiences there with that dialect. But her kids, boy, they can turn it on and off if they want to, and speak to you with that Southern language, and some of it is very different.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, it's funny when you run into somebody and you know they're speaking English, but you're not understanding anything they say.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, funny.
I don't know about you, but we have another assignment we've got to work on this afternoon. Some of you don't know that we're pathway missionaries.
Oh, yeah.
We have a group of students that meet every Wednesday evening. And so we're in the middle of getting ready for that particular group tonight. So it's nice to see those of you who stayed on the screen for a while.
Yeah, we're always glad to see you.
Well, it's great to see you, and I've got to go too. So I'm glad Eric reached out to me, and I hope that I can be on this call more often. So
Hope you can too. And we're glad to see that you're all still well, and we hope your families are, and that you're being careful and wearing your masks when you go out and doing everything you're supposed to do, washing your hands. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to see y'all.
Stay safe. Talk to you later.
Yeah. See you next week.
Yep.
Yeah, bye. Ciao.